So today is actually Thursday. We got home from our trip on Monday, I think like Monday evening, and it's just been a bit of a weird week since. Honestly, it was really hard for me to get back into like our routines and work and life. I feel like I disconnected maybe a little bit too much over the weekend, and it's something that we've like talked about and I've thought a lot about because I want to prioritize rest and relaxation and like kind of stepping back. I know a lot of people like to log off completely, but it kind of made me realize that I don't know if that is really for me, doing it in such like a complete way. I felt like I lost some of my like momentum and really just like pulled out of things energetically and also physically. So I had to like take a couple days to reset and remember like where I was at with things, like how things need to be moving, what work needs done. That's not really helpful right now. We are in a very, very short sprint. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, like we've been doing work sprints in between trips or just like outages. So we have today and tomorrow left in this work sprint. We will definitely have to do stuff over the weekend, but it is a super short sprint over only 4 days before we leave for LA on Monday. And because it was so hard for me to get back into things, I feel like I've lost some days. And with how much we have going on and how many projects I'm working on, I can't really afford to lose that time. So that's just kind of been maybe a lesson from the trip and something that is going to be important for me in the coming weeks and the travel wave coming up. You know, with some of the trips, my plan was to completely, log off, be offline, and now I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I need to set some times to sit and like reflect on things or do some brainstorming. Not long bits of time, but just like little, almost just like sessions to keep me in it a bit. So dealt with that the first couple of days. I really haven't recorded anything at all this week because it's just been so weird. So this is the first time I'm sitting down and recording. So it probably will be a bit of a different vlog. Really like business heavy because I have a lot of things moving at one time, and there are a few things that I want to share with all of that. So we can really get into that, I guess. So first up, we have La Palme, and with La Palme right now, we just placed 2 new sample orders. One is for a cotton wool blend hat, and we have a couple different embroidery styles that we're trying on that, and we're sampling through the hat manufacturer that we already have an existing relationship with. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but I'll kind of walk you through what that process looks like for creating a hat sample. So when it comes to putting together a new hat sample request, I think of 3 different steps. First is inspiration, then design, then details. So inspiration is usually something that comes before I get into like the full concept of the hat. I'll see something that I like and want to do something similar for La Palme, or I'll be doing research on other brands or product ideas, and that's where that kind of stems from. So for this, I saw a hat, cotton wool blend, that I really wanted to make our own for our brand and do it in kind of like a vintage style. I looked to that for the inspiration, do a little bit of like competitive research, and then the next step is the design. So I really want the embroidery to take inspirations from vintage style patches. So I dug into Pinterest and looked for ones that I liked and that I could kind of mimic in an embroidery design. Not all of them would look good in embroidery. Once I found a couple, then I pulled them over and applied like our branding and our text, changed them a bit so that they would look good on a hat. And then I have to think about the hat structure and the shape and the sizing, and then also like the colorways that are being used. So I have my manufacturer send over the swatches for the fabric, which like I said is a cotton wool blend. So we haven't worked with this fabric yet. So I got to look at all new swatches and decide on the colorways that I want to try out, which we landed on a dark brown and a dark green, which I think will be good for the fall and winter. From there, we look at the closure style. So for this, it's going to be a snapback. So then it was about trying to align the color of the closure with the color of the fabric, which is kind of hard to get perfect, but I did it to the best of my ability and then work with my manufacturer to really like nail it down. So that's the design portion, to really build out all of the aspects of the hat. But the next is details, and that's where I take all of that information and I build it out into a spreadsheet so that I can send it to my manufacturer and they know exactly how to build the hat that we're wanting. This is a really key part, because not only is it important for them to know our vision to its fullest extent, but it's also kind of a way to provide insurance where, like, if they send a sample that doesn't align with the sheet that I sent, then I'm able to say like, hey, this is incorrect. You can see here that it should have been this. So I like to have that really clear communication. But this is the third time I think that we're sampling with our hat manufacturer. So we've got a pretty good system down, and it's usually like something that we can take care of in a day, as long as I have my details together on my end. The other sample that we just ordered is actually for a long sleeve shirt. Specifically, it is a cropped heavyweight long sleeve shirt. I always deal with, I'm pretty short, and so long sleeve shirts and really shirts in general, they just hang way too long for me. And I think a lot of people deal with that, where it's like you see people hemming them themselves and stuff, and honestly, cropped is really popular right now. I have some great cropped shirts from, I think, Abercrombie, so that's kind of what we're going for. It's gonna have a couple of designs on it. Designs were actually partially picked by our Instagram followers, so that's cool. But we're gonna sample those. It will be our first apparel piece. It's not the first that we have sampled, because we did sample a fleece. I guess this is the proper announcement that we're not doing the fleece this fall. I know that there were some people that were super excited about that, but honestly, as such a young brand, doing a garment that is that detailed and it's just not easy. We want it to be really good, and we want our products to be really high quality. And trying to execute something like a fleece jacket whenever we are so young as a business is just not really feasible right now. It also takes a lot of cash flow. I think that's something that always has to be considered, is how much it costs to stock the inventory. So you have your minimum order quantities that the manufacturers have, where they say, we can't make any less than 100 of those, which for any established business is fine, but I don't want to have hundreds of some items, and sometimes we just don't have the cash flow required to supply that, or if we do, we don't want all of it going to that. So we have to be really strategic with the decisions that we're making right now, and especially with the pivot that I've talked about a couple of times, we have to make sure that the products really align with where we're trying to go as a brand. So I think that this hat and the long sleeve will really support that and help with it. So I'm interested to see what those look like. We'll talk about Ace Media a little bit too, because that's been a big part of my week. So we've been wrapping up a big reporting project for a client, really our primary client, and we had a bunch of edits to do this week, and so that should be done really anytime. But alongside that, I got pulled into another project with that client to do really some light lift work, and then had a call with a different company today for some potential work. So there's a lot moving there. It's honestly felt really great to have our new website up, and it looks so good. And I think it really supports what we're trying to do with Ace Media. But there's a lot of good momentum there and good opportunity, and that is, if I haven't mentioned it before, that's how I make my money, is through Ace Media. So I put a lot of priority on that on a weekly basis because of that. So last up for kind of business and project updates. If you don't know this about me already, you're probably getting it now, but I like to be very busy, and I am always working on new things and different things, and I've been doing that for years. So some things have been around for quite a while, like Ace Media started in 2020. There are some new projects, like Palme has been around for about a year, properly launched in June, and then this other thing that I've started working on again, I started in like 2019. So if I have a good idea, I'm going to try it, and I'm going to execute on it and see what comes out of it, even if it's just like learning or even if it's nothing. They all support my growth as a person and as a business owner. And one thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately is how important it is to diversify your skill set as a business owner. So I see all of the different projects and endeavors as, ways to support that. I always like to be learning and skilling up and trying new things. So in 2019, I started a little project called Nashville Rising, and my education is in music business, and that's where I started my career, is in live performance. And I have a lot of friends in that space, and a lot of my network is in that space. And I started that as a way to kind of keep my foot in that industry. And it's really just a platform to like highlight up and coming artists in Nashville. It's definitely not like unique. There are other platforms that are doing the same thing and doing it really well, but artists are always looking for new platforms and different platforms to be on. So it was a way for me to just like keep my foot there. So I've been thinking about it a bit lately, and it's been pretty inactive for quite a while. Every now and again I'll share something or post something on it because it primarily operates on Instagram. It's been gaining followers organically, like without me touching it, for years, and there are new engagements on it every single day. People message it every week, asking to work together, to be featured and stuff. So I am working on today doing a little rebrand for that. I don't hate the logo and stuff that's on it, but I'm considering kind of revamping it and starting work on there again. I think that there's opportunity to, and this was kind of the original idea, I think there's opportunity to use it in tandem with work through Ace Media. So a way that would work is like, if an artist has a release, Ace Media could run ads for them on the Nashville Rising page. And that's a system that works in a lot of different industries. And I don't know, it could be interesting. It could be something to try. So I'm going to see what it looks like to get that page up and going and active again. I have some people that will probably help with it, so we'll see, but that's another thing I'm working on. So like I said, this week is a bit weird. It's most of this video is probably me talking right now, but we're just getting ready for our trip on Monday, trying to reset from this past weekend and just make sure everything's squared away, everything's moving, and in the spot that it needs to be before we leave again. So that's it for this video. Like I said, it was a bit of a weird week. We had a really short work sprint and spent the first couple days of the week trying to get back into the groove of things after our trip. And then really Thursday through Saturday was just very, very deep work. We've been having some late nights trying to get things moving. And there are some new projects going on that I haven't even gotten the chance to share yet. So we've just been very heads down in all of those things, trying to get ready for this trip. So I need to go pack because we leave for our trip to LA on Monday. So next week's video is going to include a lot of footage from that trip and probably some more business and project updates, but I'll see you then.